What's up, everybody?
Hey.
It's your boy Joey, and this is the Use Your Power podcast.
Woo woo and just Shay. Yay yay.
So today's topic, I'm gonna let Shay introduce this one. Shay, go
Yes.
ahead and introduce this topic. I know it's
Cause
heavy on your heart.
it's heavy. It's so heavy on my heart. Okay, so today's topic is why are men doing the chasing anymore? And this is continuing in our dating series. So this is like part 2 of our dating series. And I just want to know, Joseph, why aren't the men, I say Joseph when I'm serious, y'all. Why aren't the men doing the chasing anymore? Give me the rundown, and then depending on what you say, I'm gonna elaborate on some more questions. Okay.
Why aren't men doing the chasing anymore? It's a good question. Um, I think there's more than one reason. Um, that's a good question. I feel like one of the reasons is because women have become a lot more independent, um, more educated. You know, they're working just like men are working. 50, 60 years ago, a lot of women stayed home. You know, they were, at home moms, taking care of kids, taking care of the house. You know, men had all the jobs, and that put men in a position where, um, I guess for lack of a better word at this point, they were in control, right? They made the money, they were the breadwinners. And so, and then they also, these jobs that they had, they were able to take care of a family, with that one job, right? You were a garbage man or a janitor or whatever it is that you did. Um, you could take care of your whole household comfortably with that one income. And now we live in a world where feminism has risen up. It's continually rising, and women are, and in some cases, out of necessity, are more educated. They are working, and a lot of these jobs that men once held, women are in the workforce now, and they're actually in a lot of sectors. They're pushing for women. Um, I know a mutual friend of ours, who is a college football referee, mentioned to me how they're really making a push for women to referee. It's like they're going after women, like with intention of making them referees to create diversity in that field. So I believe that is one reason that men don't feel maybe like they should chase anymore, why men don't chase anymore. Another is probably stemming from social media. I think a lot of the expectations that many women have are somewhat unrealistic. Everyone, expects for the man to do every single thing. And a woman is supposed to be just the princess, and daddy takes care of everything for his little princess, which is kind of a perverted thought to a degree when you're talking about a husband and wife. But, that's really
Right.
how a lot of women see it. We talked about that whole thing with the Cheesecake Factory chick. And it's like after the fact, she made this statement, you're supposed to court me. And if you're courting me, she literally was saying, like, if I want to go somewhere, you take me. If I want you to get something for me, you buy me. Like, this is literally what she said.
Mm.
And, that's an expectation that the average guy um, is not going to be able to meet a lot of times. And so I think, it comes down to a case of men are just like, you know what? I don't see where I fit in this market. So I'm chilling,
Mm.
and then when they do approach a lot of women, a lot, a lot of men are just intimidated by the whole situation.
Mm.
And, so they're, not fully invested because they really think they don't measure up, or they feel like
Mm.
they don't have enough to offer. And a lot of women don't make them feel any differently. So I think those are two good places to start in answering the question of why men don't chase anymore.
So I'm very surprised because in my mind, I thought it was going to be straight to the point of these few words that you were going to say was because men don't like rejection. When it comes to men chasing, or the question that I initially am asking is when it comes to the first initial date and you're talking to someone, you've been talking to them for a minute or whatever the case may be. I think it depends on the generation. They are man enough to and confident enough within themselves, secure enough within themselves to ask a woman out and be rejected and it's okay. Whereas the younger generation, their mindset is a little skewed and it's like, I'm not chasing no woman. I'm afraid of rejection. She's gonna have to ask me out. So, and I hear that a lot, as far as the woman being the person who's initiating some type of relationship, whether they're talking over the phone, whether they're going out on dates, and all that. So, what do you have to say as far as the rejection part of?
That might be true in some cases.
Mhm.
There are always going to be people that are afraid of rejection. Nobody likes rejection. I would say I don't necessarily agree that that's an issue with men overall. Rejection has always been a part of the deal for men. A guy goes out, if a guy goes after 10 different women, he's how many is he actually going to be able to pull, right? Two,
Mhm.
three, maybe if he's really good, four. But he's not going to pull the majority of those women. Um, just because that's the nature of the beast, right? Different, every woman is different, just like every man is different. They're all looking for different things. Um, but rejection is definitely a part of it. Like, even like, especially like nowadays in the online dating sphere where women have millions of options, right?
Right.
But as a guy, I don't care how high value you are, people are judging you on your profile based on what you look like. And that's mostly it. Now, they may not want to see anatomy pictures. They may not want to see, your gym pics and certain things, but they want to see pictures. They want to know what your face looks like. How big are you? Are you in shape? You work out, you take care of yourself. These are things that matter. And one of the downsides of online dating is it is very superficial. So
Right.
men are going to suffer a lot of rejection. Like you might swipe right on 100 profiles. You're doing really good if you get 25 to
Matches.
35 that match, right?
Mhm.
So men are used to rejection. I would say women are the ones that aren't familiar with rejection because, women are used to being pursued, whereas men being the pursuers are the ones that know rejection is always a possibility. So, you
Got
know,
it. Okay, so let's go back to you talking about women in the workforce and whatnot. And it's crazy because the mind of a woman and the mind of a man is completely different. So, a couple of my girlfriends and I had a conversation about how men, and I've heard this, and I hate to say his name because a lot of men can't stand him, but I've heard this on the Steve Harvey Morning Show and how they were saying, like, if a man doesn't feel needed, like if a woman has everything that she has, like she has the house, nice house, she has a nice car, she's thriving financially, she's in shape, like she can this, she can that. A man is gonna feel at a place where he's like, well, what's the purpose? Why am I here? Basically. And the crazy part is, I've heard that in my last marriage. Like basically, like you are the man. Like, what am I here for? So when you were talking about, well, because women have the jobs of this or that, woo, woo, are you are you saying that because women have status and we don't necessarily need a man financially because we're kind of doing it on our own, that this is the reason why men are not pursuing maybe independent women or just women in general? Because what if, and then it goes, to add to that question is, if I'm a woman who looks good and I have a decent apartment or a car, but maybe I'm lacking in Like I'm not making six figures, but I'm like barely making it, but I'm making it on my own. Does that attract a man? Because it's like, man, like she gonna need me. Like, so this is my thing. Like, do men need to be needed to feel valued in a relationship or even to pursue one?
That's a tough one to answer. So on the one hand, I agree. There's men, some men need to be needed, some men want to be needed, right?
Mm-hmm.
I can speak from my own personal, like how I feel. Sometimes I feel like you're drawn to women who need something, not because you have nefarious intentions necessarily, but it's like you want to help. It's that knight in shining armor mentality where you just want to rush in and be her savior, so to speak. But I feel like you definitely want to be in a situation where you feel like you have something to offer, right?
Mm.
If you don't feel like you have anything to offer or you don't feel desired, then it's going to be tough, right? Because it's like, well, shoot, why am I here? Um, I had a relationship many years ago with a woman who she had a six-figure career. When we met, I was in school. I had zero income. The only thing I had, like, I was staying afloat at the time because basically my parents, my mom was paying my rent. My dad was helping me with other things, food, gas, etc. Eventually, I got on the county because that's the only option I had at the time. She did not care, right?
Mm.
She was willing to work with me, and she loved my dirty draws, so to speak. And I wasn't happy just because I
Mm.
was not comfortable with my situation. I remember like when we started actually going out, because at first we didn't really go out anywhere. We kind of had this agreement, like, okay, we would do like red box nights, blockbuster nights. We'll go rent movies, and then I'll cook for her. She would buy the groceries, right? That was kind of our little agreement. But that only lasted so long, right? She wanted to go out. I was so embarrassed because I couldn't afford to pay for anything. I had her slide her credit card or debit card under the table to me so that I could act like I was paying for it because I was ashamed.
Mm.
Like I felt really bad, because it's not something I'm familiar with. I was used to. It's like if I'm going on a date with a woman, I want to pay, right?
Mhm.
That's how I was raised. I don't think it has to be that way 100% of the time, but that's just how I was raised. Like you should be paying for the dates, at least in the beginning, right? And so during the relationship, I was just not comfortable, and it caused a rift in that relationship. And I jacked that up. Now she was great. I have nothing bad to say about her. Um, she's gone on. She moved back home. She got married. She got like 5 kids now. So as far as I know, she's doing great. I haven't talked to her in over 10 years. But the point I'm making is it was difficult for me because I felt like I couldn't contribute, especially financially. Now, there was a point in that relationship where I started to realize there's more to contributing to a relationship than finances. Like, as crazy as it sounds, she had enough respect for me to allow me to put her on a budget, which sounds crazy because this woman is making 6 figures and I'm out here making no figures. And I was like, she had no money in her savings. And I was like, how do you make all this money and you have nothing put away?
Space.
And so she basically told me her whole situation, and she allowed me to put her on like a budget. And it worked, and but that's because she had respect for me in spite of the fact that I didn't have money. But money was
Mm.
my biggest issue. Like I felt like I can't contribute to this relationship. So I learned from that relationship, and I learned that there's more to a happy relationship and being able to contribute than just finances.
Mm.
But as a man, you're constantly being told you're a provider, you're a provider, you're a provider, you're a provider. Even in the idea of pursuing, it's like you're going out and you have to go get, right? So it's like if I
That's
gotta
right.
go get, I'm supposed to go provide, and I'm not able to do that to the level that this particular person or these women are asking for, then I'm makes me feel insufficient. It makes you feel insecure. It makes you feel like you're not good enough. So it becomes very difficult. You know, it's like these women are out here making their own money, doing their own thing. And so, like for me, now I'm not out here dating broke women. You know, I'm not. It's not. I mean, you know,
Understand.
like I'm not dating broke women. I'm not. You know, no, I take that back. I have dated one recently that was broke, but that lasted a couple months. But I'm not really necessarily out here dating broke women. You know, for one, I only date black women, and that's no shade to any other ethnic group or what race or whatever. That's
Mhm.
just my choice,
Preference.
my preference. And no, it's not a preference. That's pretty much it's mandatory. I'm not stepping. I'm not. So it's not a preference. That's my choice. I'm not stepping
Okay.
outside of that. It's
Amen.
a cultural thing. I find women
Clear.
attractive from all ethnic backgrounds, but culturally speaking, I don't get y'all. So I stick to who I know.
Amen.
Um, but black women are like the most educated demographic in this country, and so you know, so it's like so when you're dating black women, a lot of the women you're gonna come across, the majority of them are gonna have education, they're gonna have good jobs, and me being older, they're gonna start having things. The last one I was in a relationship, and the woman I'm dating now, they own their own homes. You know, it's like they got their own stuff, so they don't necessarily need you financially. So because she doesn't need me financially, I guess I'll just pack my bags and go home and not date anybody because
But
you
what
know
a
I
voice.
it sound like a sucker, but it's like you know I guess I just won't date anybody because I'm not, bruh. So,
Right.
but I realized that everything that I have to offer isn't financial, you know, and just
Mm.
because she has material things doesn't mean she has it all together.
Okay.
So you have to know who you are. You have to be confident in who you are. You have to know what you bring to the table. And then there's a sales pitch, right? You got to be able to sell that. You have to be able to make her understand like, hey, you know, maybe we're on the same level financially, or maybe you're here and I'm here, but I got this to offer and that to offer and this to offer. And now we're here.
Mm.
And she looks at that like, you know what? He's right. That's something I could use in my life. That's something I need in my life. If you can, and you know, if you can sell it, you know, she's
Hey.
ready to buy, then hey, y'all can make it happen. But most men don't see it that way. And again, I think social media plays a huge part in all of this because you're constantly being bombarded with give me this, do you got, can I
Yes.
have, you know, I deserve, and you know, and the guys that don't have it are like, I guess I'll just pack my bags and I'll go home and stay by myself and stuff. You know, I mean, you know what I'm
It's
saying?
sad.
It really is. It sucks, you know,
Okay.
but you know,
Okay.
you have
So
to know you have to know yourself. You have to know your market. And shoot, if you're a guy out here, you know, maybe you got to take a step down, brother. Stop trying to chase the models and you just a regular dude out here, you know?
right. Okay. What about as far as the roles changing? So do you think that women have become more aggressive too when it comes to asking men out? And it's almost like it's taking away from the men being the hunters and the chasers. And then also, do men find that unattractive? Like, if a man, and this is weird to me. If a man, I was watching a podcast, I forgot the name of it, but um, they had a woman on her knees asking a man to marry her, like she was proposing to him, and the man went in on her like, if you don't get up, and they were saying how like as a man this is taking that away from a man, you don't do that, it's stepping over, blah 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 blah. They just went on her, and then all the women went on in on her too, like how dare you, this is why the men aren't men anymore, because you guys are stepping over their, you know, in their roles and what they're supposed to be doing, and you guys get upset about men not being men, but you guys are playing the roles of a man. So my question is, do you think the roles have changed? when it comes to asking, the opposite sex out, but also do men find that aggressive? Like if I was like, hey Joey, I think you bruh, like, let's do this. How would you feel? Don't
Me, me.
It's like, how would you feel if a woman asks you out? Like,
I mean,
is that a thing?
personally, I don't mind, right? Like that'll get you in the door, but it's not going to keep you in the house. It's like, all right, that's cool. I'm like, I'm with it. Like if a woman wants to step up and you be like, hey, I'm feeling you, Joe. You know what I'm saying? What's good? I'm like, oh, that's what I'm talking about. I'm with it, right? We can go out. Now, again, it might get you in the door, ain't gonna keep you in the house. It's one of those things like I'll give you a shot to show me who you are. And if that aggression carries on into the date and in the conversations and you always trying to dominate me, I'm not built like that.
Mm.
I'm not gonna let like nobody's dominate me in a conversation, man or woman, and just in life in general. So if I'm gonna be dominated, it's gonna be by Jesus, and that's it. Um,
Hallelujah.
I'm not one of these beta male types. So, that's why I don't necessarily um mind a woman making that first step. Now I'll tell any woman like it's probably best that you don't continue making those steps, because it's like women generally are the ones getting hurt in these relationships and doing all the crying and complaining after the fact. So if you want to know if that man is really into you, let him, take the lead at some point. And if you want him to be a leader, allow him to take the lead. But as far as most guys, I think most men probably, that's tough. I know what most men will say, but in reality, it kind of just depends. I'll say this. I'll go with the majority. I think most men don't necessarily care for that. Um, they don't necessarily want an aggressive woman. Um, but then I think you also would have to define aggression. Like, what is aggression? What are we talking about? Is her saying, "Hey, how you doing?" Like, she's still being feminine about it, but she's like, I just think you're really, I like you. I think you're really cute, and we should go out sometime. And she leaves it at that. That's to me, that's not really being all that aggressive. That's bold. I don't necessarily think that makes her an aggressive woman. Aggression to me, there's so many other ways to show aggression. I don't necessarily see it that way. But I don't think it's the initial asking out that men have an issue with. I think it's the continued thirst, so to speak, that guys don't like. It's like, it's like,
Not
hey,
thirst.
the continue as she drinks water. Um, Shay's like, no, I can't be thirsty. No thirst.
Ooh.
Um, I think it's the continued thirst that turns men off. Like I had one of my buddies, told me this story multiple times about this particular sister that used to go to our old church that was just on him super duper tough. And he was just like, it was a major turnoff to him. He doesn't, like he didn't like that. So there are a lot of men out there that don't like it's like they don't want to be pursued. It's like
Got it.
be available. You can even be bold, but
Don't
ladies,
pursue me.
don't be thirsty. Drink your water, stay hydrated. Amen.
Okay, so how do we encourage men? Because I'm gonna just be honest with you, women don't think. Okay, the women are talking in the streets, and what we're saying is that men are not being men and they're not doing the chasing anymore, and they are expecting women to ask them out, DM them, oh, I think you cute, whatever the case may be. So how do we kind of like bring it back to the old school ways of like encouraging the men to ask the women out, but also it's like women like you said, stop being thirsty and just chill, because most of it, I think, and I know a lot of women are gonna be upset with me, most of it is our fault because we claim this independence. And you can be independent and still be feminine and and be a woman to allow a man to take the lead. You can be independent and still let your man lead. So how do we like merge the two back to like the way it's supposed to be?
You don't.
Wow. So you
You don't.
telling me that I'm gonna have to just be sitting here? Because look, let me tell you something. I'm old school, and I'm gonna be honest with you. I've told a person, I was talking on the phone with this guy for like a minute, and I just came out there and said it like, bruh. And I've never done that, never. Told the person I liked them, or whatever, whatever. And it didn't turn out good for me. Let's just say that because I'm not with the person, right? But I feel like it was weird because the misconception is like I've known you for some years because of where we fellowship, but all of a sudden you trying to be in my space. So I know what you're here for, but then when I tell you that I'm feeling this way, it's like, oh, but I'm not feeling like that. I don't need no new friends, bro. I'm good. Like I have my friends, I have my people. Why we got to be friends? Like I love you as a brother in Christ, but why do we need to be friends? Why do you feel like you need to be in my space as far as like calling and checking in and texting and all that foolishness, right? If you're not trying to have an end result. So my whole thing is for me, I'm old school in a sense like if I think a guy is fine, he cute, it's like my girls will know like yeah, Shay think he cute, Shay think he fine. My brother will know, oh yeah, she think. But I'm not going up to that dude. I told myself I will never do that again. So if another woman comes up there and just take him because she's being like that, like she told him that, oh well, I missed out because I'm a little old school in that sense. I want to be pursued and not pursued like I'm not saying you have to be all extra and tell me you make six figures and all that foolishness. I'm saying like just the initial. I feel like, and then this is me personally. When men pursue the women, it's a different type of respect when it comes to the relationship. When a man pursues a woman, that means he's really feeling her. And the respect factor for her and how he dotes on her and what he does for her and how he protects her, blah,
Dotes.
blah, 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 blah. It's different than when a woman pursues a man. When a woman pursues a man, I feel like it almost like gets his mind like, yeah, I'm the man, and he started being a little arrogant and being like disrespectful, like you came after me, and it's like I'm not trying to give no man that power, like no, bruh. So that's why I said I would never do it again. So that's just my mindset of like why I would never pursue men.
A to the man. A to the man. Yeah, I'm not mad at it. Like I said, I don't think there's an issue either way. I don't really see any of this as a matter of right and wrong. I think maybe there is a best practice. Um, and yeah, I think generally speaking, women probably should not pursue. Now, maybe that works in some instances because there are exceptions to various rules. Um, but just as a best practice, women should not pursue. Um, Now, does that mean she maybe shouldn't open up a line of dialogue? No, I mean, you can open up a conversation. Doesn't just because you open up a conversation doesn't necessarily mean you're telling him you're interested either. You're just kind of opening the lines of communication, and hopefully he, is bold enough to say, hey, you want to go out sometime, you want to exchange numbers, you want to, chop it up, let's hang out, whatever. But I just think women should probably steer clear of pursuing a man. Um, that said, there's not a lot that women can do, just again, generally speaking, to change the dynamic that, if we're being honest, they've created. Um, Feminism and independence, while all well and good, to a degree, it has changed the dynamic to the point where now women are in positions that men were in formerly, and they still want traditional roles to some degree, but it's like, you can't really have your cake and eat it too.
Mm.
You know, if you want to, you want to be independent, you want to be self-sufficient, you want to make all this money, but then you want a man to take care of you, or you expect a man to take care of you. And it's like, well, you're educated, you're independent, you're a homeowner, you make big money, you have nice things. Why should I take care of you? Or
Mm.
you want him to come into the picture, and instead of adding to what he already has, or adding to what you already have, and you guys working together, it's like what's mine is your, it's like what's mine is mine and what's yours
Mine.
is mine. You know, it's
Right.
like, well, no, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So you can't change or undo what's been done, but you can work on yourself individually. And I think that's where women have to. Um, that's what women have to do. You have to work on yourself as an individual. Make yourself, like our old pastor used to say, a committee of one, to improve on the things that need improving on. What do men like? Men are constantly telling women what they like. So be what the man likes. Add
Mm.
to your repertoire. You people. It's crazy to me how we want we want to make a lot of money, right? So we'll go to 4 years of college, 6 years of college, sometimes more than that. We'll obtain all these degrees. We'll go after these certifications. We'll take these classes after we found our dream job, so that we can continue to promote and to go higher and higher, and continued education, and et cetera, et cetera. But not to get preachy, but when it comes to the things of God or relationships, we don't keep that same energy. And that's a problem, right? We don't keep that same energy with the things of God. We don't keep that same energy with our relationships, and then you act like you don't need a woman. You act like you don't need a man, but and then you act like you don't care, but then you're on every dating site. You're constantly looking to date. If a guy asks you out, oh, no problem, you're gonna go there, but you don't care. But you don't care, right? Exactly. But you don't care. Well, if you didn't care and if it wasn't a big deal and it didn't matter, then why? Why are you on the dating sites? Why are you accepting dates? Are you just looking for a free meal, Miss Independent? I'm every woman, it's all in me. Or what are you really doing out here? The truth of the matter is,
100%.
you do want companionship. You do want to be married, because as soon as these same women come across a man that loves them and puts a ring on it, oh, she gonna be dangling that thing all in your face. She is not. She is not gonna. Her hand is gonna stay like this. She's gonna go to sleep like this. She gonna wake up like this. Every picture is gonna be like this, because she gonna want to tell the whole world that she is engaged and somebody put a ring on it. So stop acting like you don't care. Stop acting like it doesn't matter. And I'm gonna tell you something, as a guy, huge turnoff.
Mm.
Nonchalant women who act like nothing matters and they don't care, huge turnoff. Because if I hear that,
Y'all
so
heard it,
you
ladies.
you know what I'm saying, you want to make yourself a more viable candidate. So don't, and take this with a grain of salt. I know I'm fat, right? Get in the gym, get in shape, right?
Mhm.
Because most people, right, when you like, so I want y'all to look at this face. Handsome
Mhm.
man, extremely handsome man, right? You heard Shay saying, handsome man, but I'm a big dude, right? So
Mhm.
I understand that I shrink my market by being a big guy, right? I get it. I'm not crying about it. I know what I could do, need to do, should do, right? I'm not crying about it. If it's a problem because you can't get the kind of men or attract the kind of men that you want to attract, get in the gym, go work out, start eating healthy, stop heading out brunching every weekend with your homegirls, pouring down the mimosas, and which saints of the Most High God, y'all shouldn't be doing on Sundays anyway. But that's not the subject. Like, get in better shape. You want to attract more men? How about you become more, like, domestic? Why don't you learn how to cook? I
Mhm.
mean, maybe one day you can impress a man with a good meal. It's like, she can fry some chicken. It's like, it matters. It really
Mhm.
does. Like, guys care about that stuff. Like, it may not be a deal breaker, but it can't hurt. You know, when you got a woman that can get in the kitchen, she can burn. You know what I'm saying? Like little things like that. You know how, you know, become a better listener. Become, you know, allow a man to take the lead. Start working. I don't know. Read some books that aren't romance novels. I do something. But the bottom line is improve you as a person, and then eventually the men will start coming around. But if you just continue to stay where you are and it's not working, what results do you expect?
You know what? And I'm gonna just wrap it up with this because I totally agree with you on that sense. Um, I know I can be a little rough around the edges, and I think it's more so a defense mechanism because of being hurt. So it is true. Like the real me, like let's like I understand that I'm not super sensitive. Even the real me is not super sensitive. But at the same time, you acting like you don't need someone. You acting like you okay. Like I said, I want someone to make me feel feminine and this and safe and whatnot. But because of the choices I've made by dealing with certain men, I have to be pretty much the man, right? So I'm unlearning a lot of like butchy habits. Like you gotta just chill out, Shay. Like you said, like you acting like you don't need a man. You got your own place, you got your own car, you got this, you got that, and you real hard. Like let's bring it down a notch. Shay can cook. She's sweet. She's lovable. She's feminine. You can laugh at a joke. Ha ha ha! That was so funny. Oh my god! You know, all of that.
Wow.
So no, and that's just facts. Like you know, it is what it is. So that's just my own personal growth that I'm learning. But okay, ladies, so y'all heard it. Get in the gym, cook some chicken, stop being aggressive. Know your role. I'm just saying, know your role. Whatever. Okay? Know your role.
team
So
team no
these
thirst.
men's can chase us, okay? Amen. Our hearts and mind clear.
Hata.
All right. Well, that was the Use Your Power podcast, and we will see y'all next week.
Peace.